Hello everyone and welcome back to Staying Alive. It's been a while. I've been in and out of hospital, trying to get my fluid under control. Hopefully I'm back to where I need to be. Um, I just thought I haven't made a video for a while and I've been looking around what's going on in the media, and I just wanted to take 5 minutes to have a chat, talk about obviously the most upcoming issue in regards to the PIP that we have at the moment. I think it's something that'll be on everybody's mind. So I just thought let's get into it. Tell you how I feel. Things that irritate us. And why I think it's just totally absolutely crazy what they do. So as a lot of you be aware, July is the date now for the government to all vote on the PIP cuts. Um, and there's been backlash over this over the last few weeks. And I think we've had one MP already leave the role because they're just not happy at all with the current state of the government, the way they're going on, the way they're treating disabled people, and it seems that our prime minister is now on a full on battle to get everybody on side. He's having independent meetings with his members of the Labour Party. He's talking to his whips and telling them to get people in line, basically, to be on board for this. Really pushing the narrative, using persuasion, persuasion. Your job's not at risk, but your job might be at risk, probably. He never said that, but when you have to go around and start having to actually talk to people and discuss and push a narrative rather than just let people make their own choice. It is coercion at the end of the day. It's just that it feels like they don't have a freedom of choice. Um, and I feel that's the same with a lot of politicians, that they force people into a corner and they either have to reap what they sow and move on to the next, and with you've seen how many people just jump ship at the minute from one party to the other. It's more of a circus and a pantomime and a show than government and looking after us, looking after our interests. And I think this is what they forget is the PYE, which everybody pays in the UK when they go to work, is what funds government mainly, and that's over 1,090. I think it's £1,090 billion a year, according to statistics I've seen on Google. Now, out of that 1,090 billion, they say 28 billion that is taken up by PIP. But even if you take 28 billion out of that entire amount per year, per annum, it still leaves 1,071 billion left to spend in the UK. But I'll put a link in the website below to one of these independent charities who's been trying to work alongside the government in regards to these PIP cuts. And I think the rest of the charities have been on there. And in her video, she states how the government have basically said, you can come along, you can listen to what we've got to say. We don't care about what your individual charity does and how you represent your peers within your charity and what information you have and how they suffer differently on day-to-day basis. We want a one-size-fits-all PIP questionnaire. Well, it doesn't work that way. You know, everyone's illnesses affect them in so many different ways. But they want this new PIP to be streamlined, so it means that you could be answering these questions because they have bear no relevance to how you react within your condition. So some of the questions I know from previous are, can you plan a route? Now, as you can tell, I can communicate. I have some level of intelligence. So of course I can plan a route. I could probably plan a route from here to Japan. Work out the planes, the flights, the connects and everything else. I mightn't be able to physically do it by myself though. Get across there, get moving around, take a mobility scooter or whatever aid I need to get there. God, I don't know what the environment's like there. I don't know how I'd manage. I don't know if I'd be able to breathe. Don't know if it's all uphill, downhill. You know, everywhere I go within my remit, I do a test run if I've never been there before to make sure that when I get there, I'm not at risk. I'd hate to have to get someone and then go up 7 flights of stairs that I know physically can't do, but the only way to be safe is get up the 7 flights of stairs. And that's what I mean, not one size fits all. And she's been, and they've shut these people down, saying we don't care about the specifics of an illness, which is what you can just be, yeah. And I think it's just a ticky box, basically. To say we've discussed it with this charity, we discussed it, and this charity was involved, and this charity was involved. But this lady's video is really good, and it basically says, yeah, we're involved, but they didn't want to know anything we had to say. So basically, you're just there as a ticky box to say they've listened, but they haven't listened, they don't freaking care. And it's true, they don't care. Out of all that money, and remember, you think all them that's just PE taxes. That's not your tax on your petrol, your car, your house, your flights, your food, clothing, inheritance, mortgage taxes, council taxes. And it really boils us because that 28 billion, yeah, it does sound an extortionate amount of money, but she also stipulates that a lot of this is waste. So she goes on, and you need to watch this, because she explains it so much better than I probably can. But say you fill in for the incapacity part of the PIP award, but then you decide you want the mobility part as well. It's 2 different forms, so you have to fill them both in. You have to fill them both in and send them off. But then you decide you need to go on universal credit. You have to then fill in the same type of form and send that off. And she's saying this is not one department speaks to the other. They're all part of the government, but they're all individual departments. And she's saying this is where the money's being wasted. So when they say they're spending £28 billion a year on PIP, it doesn't guarantee that that's how much has been awarded in PIP. It doesn't say that's a PIP award. But that's the figure they put out. Oh, we spend £28 billion in PIP awards every year. No, that's putting people in jobs. That's paying for rent. That's paying for staff. That's paying for electric, heating, internet, computers, all the facilities, the chairs, the desks. All that's rolled in with that price. But there's, why have a universal credit department? Why have a PIP department? Why have a mobility part that works with the mobility claim department? Why have all these separate? Why aren't these staff multi-trained on all of this stuff? And they have these all across the region. It would decrease workflow. You wouldn't have a repetition of filling form in and checking it and getting in and go and see another doctor, speak to somebody else and get that done again. If they just said, all right, well, this is why he's filled his form in. Same me, Mr. McAllister's filled his form and there he goes. Right, according to this, what he said and on, yeah, well, he would probably be definitely entitled to the mobility component, so we'll put him forward for that. Yeah, universal credit, he'd probably be entitled to so much of that because we've got his income and everything else from his partner and stuff, so we can award that now. And then, oh yeah, we definitely get that one, yeah. And then, but they don't want you to do that because they want you not to claim these things. So then it's unclaimed benefits, and they don't tell you about the billions and billions of pounds that's set there every year in unclaimed benefit. Because if they wanted to ease it up and change it, make it easier, they could. So you aren't getting this. This 28 billion isn't going on people; it's going on infrastructure mainly, and then the rest it's going on the funding. So I do like maths. Maths is one of the things I do like, and I thought, well, let's look at my family as a whole. I have a wife, that's one person. Then I have my daughter, 2 daughters and a son. That takes it up to 4. They all have partners. That takes it up to 8. If I'm doing the maths right. So that's 8 people paying taxes. Now all them pay on average is the amount of tax per month, about £300 a month. So 3 times 8, 24. That's £2,400 a month in tax between them 8 people. Yeah, it's a lot of money. your PIP isn't anywhere near that. Your PIP's about £800, but that's 2,400, and that's in a month. And you times that by the 12, that's 2,400. You're looking at £25,000 a year in taxes for these people, all going into the government's pocket. Maybe and if we do that by my uncle and his family with the same amount, so we might have the same amount of kids, there's another 25,000. There's 50, and then his brother, there's another 50. His sister, there's another 50. If you want factors of that. Now, if I've gone that factor and I've got roughly 20 uncles, and they've all got at least 2 kids each, and all of them are working. If I go on that factor, and I work out how many actually physically disabled people there is in my family within these about 70 to 80 people, if not more, there's about 2 or 3 tops. But they're more than paying enough tax to cover any PIP award, any type of award within that. But they're not asked if they're willing to do that. And that's the difference. All these taxes, I remember, these are family members. Your taxes that this government get, it's your family members that are supporting it. So when people sit there and they go, these people are just scroungers. These people all have families that